Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey, Joe Archino back here, and it certainly seems like Joe Hart's days at Manchester City are numbered, and that of course coming after Man City's first two matches under Pep Guardiola. Well, he just didn't have any room for Joe Hart, and I think it's one of those things where when you look at it, there's a lot of ways you could kind of toss and turn this. Why is Pep really not wanting Joe Hart? And I think fundamentally it's just Joe Hart doesn't fit the system Pep Guardiola wants to run. And it comes back to that kind of argument where it's leaving the club in a tough position because obviously Joe Hart has done a tremendous amount of great things for this club. One of the most legendary Man City players of all time, helping the club in its turnaround to become a powerhouse, not just in England but in world football. And now it's kind of becoming an ugly end and an ugly exit. But it's in professional sports, a lot of times teams don't know how to say goodbye when it's time to say goodbye. We see it in the NBA and the NFL. Every walk of professional sports, we see it. And I think this is kind of a situation where Joe Hart at his age is still got a good amount to offer to somebody, but that somebody is not Man City. And I think obviously the replacement and the name that we've been seeing come up in the news is obviously Claudio Bravo. And when you look at the numbers, it really just does say exactly why Pep Guardiola wants to make this switch. I mean, you look at their clean sheets last year, 16 for Bravo, 15 for Hart. Not that big of a discrepancy there. You look at saves per goal, 3.40 for Claudio Bravo, 1.91 for Joe Hart. You can start to see it there. And I think the biggest thing, and this is the biggest number that shows why Pep wants a guy like Claudio Bravo, is pass completion. 85% for Claudio Bravo and 56% for Joe Hart. It's just what Pep wants to do in his system. That passing completion from his goalie is so important. We've seen it everywhere he's ever gone, and that's just not one of the things that's been Joe Hart's strong suit. And look, I mean, I've seen almost every match Man City's played in the Champions League and in the Premier League season last year, and he had some of his best performances in the Champions League, but as a whole body of work, Hart just has had two pretty down seasons in a row, has really struggled with consistency, and consistency is one of those words where it's the biggest thing that Pep needs in his system. He always wants to be consistent on the basis of his players trusting to be in the right place at the right time. And that pass completion, there's always the three P's of Pep Guardiola. There's play, position, and possession. And all those things really are intertwined. And that passing ability from his goaltender to get it to the ball to his guys who are always going to be in the right position so they can hold on to the possession and make it meaningful. Everything is so intertwined and interconnected, and really I think the goalie is where everything starts for Pep's system. And obviously Joe Hart, I just don't think that the way things are going right now, it looks like he will most likely be leaving. And we've seen Willy Caballero has been the guy who's played the first two matches in the Premier League and in their Champions League playoff match, and it's just, obviously Caballero is not a better goaltender than Joe Hart, but it's just one of those situations where it's Pep's way or it's the highway, and he's made it clear. There's not a lot of managers who would have the guts to do this, especially with a player who's meant so much to this club and who's won as much as he's had, and has overall just been a big presence for this club, not just for England, but for England as a whole, not just for Manchester City. So Pep is really in a situation where he's got the guts, and it's one of the reasons why he's had so much success, because you have to trust yourself, and obviously Pep trusts the move that he's making. And I do think that when you look at it as a whole, Claudio Bravo is just a better goaltender overall, and even if you're trying to debate which one's a better fit, I do think that it's obviously still Claudio Bravo. Now, one interesting argument that you can make, and I've heard it made, is Joe Hart is one of those guys where for a guy like Pep who's new to this league, Hart's obviously been molded by English football. He's been in the Premier League for so long now, and that could help you when you get to those staggering winter, cold, tough tough months of December and January and February, and that's the biggest time where he could help with the adjustment of Pep. And I do think that there is a lot of truth to it, because the Premier League is inherently different from every other league in the world, and I think the weather, the cold months are a big part of that, just the rigorous weather you're going to have in England, and when you combine the rain and all the other elements, that's a difficult thing and a difficult transition to make. But Bravo has just shown what he is. I don't care if it's been, he hasn't obviously played the Champions League matches because Mark Ter Stegen has gone to play those for Barcelona, but whether it's been in Copa America or in La Liga, he's facing the stiffest competition in an incredibly difficult system to get acclimated to, and I don't have any doubts that he'll be a better fit for what Pep wants to do than Joe Hart. But look, the fans are right to kind of not like the way things are going here, but it's not easy in sports. Sometimes you just have to put the pom-poms down and look at it and look at what's best for the current squad, and in that regard, there's no question that Bravo is the better guy here. And we'll just obviously have to continue to watch this in the coming days, because it seems at this point it's pretty much safe to say that Joe Hart's days at Man City are done, and I don't think Pep has given us any other reason to believe otherwise. But until the next time, Jersey, Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll catch everybody in the next episode.